Playas, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Playas Guide. On this episode, I'm going to be continuing with a series that I previously started where I covered little mini figures called Monster in My Pocket. On this episode, I will be covering, at request, M.U.S.C.L.E. So M.U.S.C.L.E, if you're not familiar with, these were these little tiny men, these little figures that were supposed to be wrestlers, although they looked kind of like, just different Japanese monsters and different characters, although there was definitely a wrestling muscular theme to most of these characters. M.U.S.C.L.E originated in Japan as a thing called Kenshi, small rubber eraser figures based on an anime comic or manga franchise that revolved around a character named Kinnikuman. Kinnikuman is this fin head looking guy, and a lot of characters in this line I've noticed have sort of this mohawk fin thing going on. I'm not sure the story behind that, but I know this is the main character that look originated from this toy line. So the toy line started in Japan in 1983. It was brought to North American markets by Mattel in 1985. And from what I've seen in my experience, these characters all came in a whole bunch of different colors. Originally, they started off with that eraser kind of beige color, but then you got blue, green, red, purple, orange, all the colors of the rainbow, even a few different shades of those colors, which made them more attractive and more collectible. A few of them also slightly resembled some North American wrestlers like Hulk Hogan, Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Ultimate Warrior, and I'm sure you could pick out the resemblance of some of the other characters too. There was also a wrestling ring, a wrestling belt, a bunch of other toys kind of revolving around this series. But what I'd like to talk most about is M.U.S.C.L.E on the NES. So this series got a game released for the NES. It's the only M.U.S.C.L.E game that I know of, and it is a pretty decent wrestling game, in my opinion, for its time, because there is a lot of bad ones. Now, there's some pretty decent ones, too. WrestleMania Challenge I didn't think was too bad. Most people look at Pro Wrestling as one of the best. But the M.U.S.C.L.E wrestling game on the NES is a pretty decent game within that category, I would have to say. There's a few different wrestlers to change in between. There's a few different wrestlers to choose from that are based off of the figure line. So if you're familiar with the figures, you'll definitely recognize some of the wrestlers in this game. In the late 90s and early 2000s, this series saw a respark and got rebooted as Ultimate M.U.S.C.L.E. Now, I remember seeing commercials and different clips for this series, but I don't know too much about it. But I do know that they tried to kind of reboot this franchise, as well as later introducing muscle figures. I saw Street Fighter ones that were released, but I know there was some other different licensed franchise that also got some muscle figure releases. We'll be touching upon some other little toys and figures in the future from the 80s and 90s, because I know there's a lot of people who are interested in these things and nostalgic for it. So touch bases with some of the themes of this channel. I do want to mostly focus on, for now, toy lines that got a video game adaptation or based off of them, because that's what I'm most interested in, and I'm trying to branch out by taking that route. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel and stick around, because I will be making more of these. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you on the flip side.